We want to go and bring in Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes on this. And Khalif, here, the majority of the decision by the justices here is that this is going to be a less inhumane option here for the inmates.
Really strange way of wording that, because I think it opened up the door for a number of things, specifically an appeal opportunity. Because if you think about it, if you're choosing the least humane or the most inhumane out of three potentially inhumane options, then you do have a problem. Not saying that either one of them are inhumane or not, but that opened the door. I don't even think that was necessary. He could have led with that this is constitutional because it's not cruel, it's not unusual, and then left it alone. But that last paragraph about saying that they're choosing and the choice can never be a reason while something is not inhumane, I think now you can ask another judge, specifically the Supreme Court, to say, listen, well, is it actually inhumane, or are any of my options humane? I think that was problematic in the writing, if not opened the door for appeal for sure.
Yeah, and really to that point, when you talk about that, I think it's important to point out that the justices were not united in terms of what they thought being inhumane was.
And you have two justices that said, listen, we agree with the majority's decision that in our state, the Constitution allows for the death penalty to be enacted. But we believe two of them are cruel and unusual, because this is what the challenge is. The challenge is the method which you're attempting to kill an individual, to put them to death. Is it cruel? Is it unusual? The Constitution protects against that even in situations where you're talking about the death penalty. And so you have to make sure you're finding a method to do that. Specifically, South Carolina is even talking about this because they could not get access to the lethal injection drugs. And so then they had to open up the door of the firing squad. In the process of doing that, they had one inmate that choose between electric chair and firing squad. He said, well, both of them are not the option that I want to choose, but I'm going to choose electric chair because I know that that's a proven method. That's not something that you guys are making up on the fly. And so both of these situations has opened up the door for litigation, which now led us to this point where we're at now.
You're talking about there, it opens the door for litigation. More of that. Could we see this happening real quickly, or is it going to take some months here? And also, will other states also kind of follow suit on something like this?
The wheels of justice are super slow, and so I don't think anything with law is going to move fast. And something that you're talking about for the Supreme Court of the United States to grant cert, meaning they'll have an opportunity to review this, I don't think that will be something that will happen fast either. But a number of states, Alabama, Mississippi, all states in the South specifically, had issues with getting lethal injection medications. And so they were all trying to find unique ways to go forward with their executions. South Carolina, as mentioned in the last piece, hasn't had execution in a number of years, almost 10 plus years. And so now you're talking about this is at the forefront, but it taps into a number of issues, specifically political. If you're trying to show that you're a state that's tough on crime, if you're an administration that's not let crime push easy on your state, then yeah, you'll see other states jumping on this situation of trying to find ways to push forward legislation like this.
Yeah, Khalif Rhodes, we appreciate your insight.